Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Karen, and I'm the hostess of Recreational Knitting. It is Sunday, March the 27th, and we're outside of Phoenix, Arizona, in our RV. We've been traveling in our RV since December 2019, when we thought we were going to do about 18 months visiting all the national parks. Well, February and March of 2020 hit, and we had a major change in plans due to COVID. Long story short, and 2 surgeries later, we've landed once again in sunny Arizona, which I have to admit is not a bad place to land. Anyway, this podcast is about knitting, living in an RV, traveling, and whatever else pops up. I have one finished object today to show you. These are in the can. Last week I showed you I had the first one done. Well, I've gotten some heels in both. This is where I was, and I made it, oh, nope, wrong direction, all the way up to the toe, and put both heels in this week. So that's a good thing. These are for my son-in-law, Justin. He'll never watch this, and he knows I'm making them anyway. But these are made with Activa, I think 75-25, and the heels and toes are made with Louis, I don't know how to say it, gems. Just a simple afterthought heel, which I have found that I probably don't like as much as a lot of people do. I learned how to knit socks using a gusset heel flap, and I like that. It's just that when you have kind of a stripy, self-striping yarn, it does interfere with the flow of things. So that's why I decided to do this. This is my only finished object this week, but I've made a lot of progress on a lot of other things. My sock bag can get replenished. Yay! I have 3 works in progress that I think I showed you last time. This sweater is made with 100% Rambouillet yarn. It's called Swan's Island. It's totally US made wool. It smells so sheepy and good. And I'm making it in the ochre color. I don't know that I've gotten too far with this. I think I was right after the white stripe last time, so I really have only gotten about this much done. It's a heavier wool. It's a sport weight, but it's sport weight. It's really kind of a hefty, warm, 100% wool yarn. I really enjoy working with it, but when we have temperatures in the 90s, this doesn't get worked on as much as it probably should. I still have to work a little bit on the ribbing on the bottom. And of course, I just started the first sleeve. So it's coming along very slowly. But I did make a little progress with it. I'm really going to enjoy that sweater when I finally get back to the cooler climates. We'll be traveling up through Wisconsin and the Upper Peninsula of Michigan this spring and early summer. So I think I'm going to get some use with that sweater if I finish it. The second sweater that I've been working on, and I've been working harder on this, it's not as heavy. It's also a sport weight yarn, but it's just a different fabric. It's an organic merino, bio balance, and it's softer, it's not as heavy, and it's just much nicer to work with when you have it in your lap. I've made some pretty significant progress with this week. This is where I think I showed you last time. And I started keeping track of like daily, when I would work on things daily. So I think that was like the first day after the podcast. Made pretty good progress on it. And this is where the second day, and of course, yeah, you know how it goes. So, good progress on that though. I'm really pleased with the progress that I've made on that. Again, I can't say enough about this yarn. It's called Bio Balance, made by BC Garn. It's just a lovely fabric. I can't. In fact, I've ordered some more. So next podcast, you'll get to see new colors of this. So. Anybody else have that problem where you really like a yarn and you like to use it over and over? That's where I'm at with that. And then a third project that I've worked on somewhat is I kept that in this bag. And this is kind of car knitting and in between knitting, and when my fingers get tired of bigger needles. This is some Lolo Did It, and I believe it's called, let's see if I can find the tag. It's Lolo Did It in her everyday sock. And it's called Beaubatons, I'm assuming. And it's a variegated blue. And I don't know exactly, I think I was right here last time. So I put in a few rounds of that. So it's going to be a shawl. The shawl's name is called Ex-Boyfriends. Let me see if I can find the author. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. It's by Jennifer Beaver, B-E-E-V-E-R. And it's really just a garter stitch shawl that you can use any kind of color, your scraps. She gives a formula for putting different colors. As pictured, she gives you some names of some yarns that she's used, but you could just do whatever you want. As you see, I put in some navy blue, cadet blue kind of yarn, and that is from Zen Yarn Garden, and this is called Midnight Blue. I really like this yarn. This is a nice yarn. I have to say that the Lolo Did It Everyday Sock, this is from a couple of years ago. I think she's changed her base since then, because this is a little splitty, and I've since used the Everyday Sock on actual socks, and it wasn't as splitty. So this could just be either a bad batch, or she's changed where she's getting her wool from at this point. But those are my 3 works in progress. On the needles, I'll be glad when I get the sweaters done, because I really wanted those finished this past winter when I could have worn them. But I had a hip replacement in December, and that combination of not being totally with it, not feeling terrific, going to PT, those all kind of slowed me down. I will show you probably next time what I did complete last year as far as sweaters. I want to show that because I really feel like I've done really quite well with the number of sweaters. I think I knit 1 vest and 4 sweaters last year, plus a ton of shawls, socks, scarves, lots that have been donated to the Ukrainian Russian church when we were in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I knit about 14 hats and didn't know what I was going to do with them. So I just sent them about 2 weeks ago, sent them to the Ukrainian church there. I'll be sorry about that. One of my neighbors stopped and asked me if I'd like to go up to the pool with her. And I said I'd be up in a little bit after I record this. Getting on to new cast-ons. Yeah, I think last week I told you I was going to try and hold off on casting on a new sweater out by Casapinka. Casapinka has a new sweater. It's called the Don't Panic sweater. And it's basically written for new sweater knitters, which is a great idea. She has it, step by step by step. So if you're new to garment knitting, you might want to look this pattern up. She really spells things out quite nicely for a beginner or for somebody else that just wants to make a nice sweater. It's a yoke pattern, which I've only made 1 of and didn't fit great. So we'll see how that works out. I'm a raglan girl, but we'll see. We'll see how this one works out. This is, of course, I don't follow rules with gauge, those silly things, and looking, it calls for DK weight. This might be a little more sport weight, and it's written for wool. This is 50 wool, 50 cotton, but it was in my stash and I really wanted to use it. The nice thing about this new sweater pattern is that it's also written for short sleeves. That's something that I really kind of want to look into because, hello, spring, summer, fall, and even some winter days, because we eventually will again live in Florida. So I just wanted to show you, this is the yarn I'm using. Let me pull the tag out of here. I don't know whether you can see that very well or not. But it's 2-ply, 1 is cotton, and 1 is wool. The pink is the wool. It's an interesting look when it's knit up. This is Concha by Marisol, and it's in the Rosa de Lima colorway. My husband's last name is Lima, so I was a sucker for having to buy this. So it's super merino lamb's wool and 50% cotton. And this is how far I've gotten. There's some short rows in the back. Right now it looks like a RBG descent collar, but you get the idea that it's going to have some texture to it. I don't know whether you can really see that well, but there's a lot of, it's textured and it's really meant for tonal yarns. Wouldn't really look good in a variegated because you wouldn't be able to see the actual stitch textures that she's written into the pattern. I'm liking it so far. I'm thinking, I did do a swatch and I blocked it, and it fluffed up, the wool fluffed up just enough that I think it'll make a nice summer garment. I like pink. I don't wear a lot of pink. I wear more of like a fuchsia color. That seems to be more my color, but this is what I had in my stash. More to come on that, I'm sure, in the future. And again, that is the Don't Panic sweater by Casa Pinka. It is a paid-for pattern, and I think it's well worth it. Just wanted to show you one of my acquisitions, which was a freebie this week. You know, you do laundry in the laundry rooms of a lot of these RV parks. We are in an RV park, by the way, right now. And this is what was there. You get novels, you get all kinds of stuff, but this was in there. So, of course, I had to take it. I'm not sure when this was. I think it's 2007, so somebody's been carrying this around a while. Unfortunately, there's really only one thing in here that I'd be interested in knitting, but it is beautiful. It's a beautiful book to look at the patterns. And I look at all this moss stitch and I about lose my mind. I don't care if it's a perfect square. I somehow screw up the moss stitch every time. Let me see if I can find you the one that I would be interested. This vest, this light blue vest, it's called the Ladies Cable Tank Top. I think it's beautiful. That might be something worth holding on to this book for. Still haven't made that decision, but likely will. That was an acquisition that I wasn't expecting this week. I haven't said anything about current events. I don't want this to get political, but I want all of you out there who have listened to me know that war is horrible, and what I see going on over the airwaves, I'm sickened by it. I've given a portion of my retirement to World's Chef's Kitchen. They are over there feeding the displaced Ukrainians in Poland, Romania, Moldova, and another country, I can't remember, Estonia maybe, where refugees are coming. It's likely only to get worse before it will improve. I urge each one of you, if you have the means and you're so inclined, to try to give something to the folks. There's nothing worse than being in a war, displaced from your country, and to be hungry. I can't imagine it, but I'm certain that it's probably one of the worst feelings you can ever have. So I urge you, I've checked out, this is the chef from Washington, D.C., Jose, and I can never remember his last name. He went to Puerto Rico when we had the hurricanes in Puerto Rico and fed Puerto Rico essentially. He's had many chefs to join his program, and they are able to get foods for preparation and volunteers because of his name. It's a worthwhile charity if you haven't found one to give to. Thank you for this PSA. I appreciate it. Keep referring to the Casa Pinka No Need to Panic sweater. Hi, I just wanted to stop back in and show you a little bit of my stash enhancement. Now, I call this economic stimulus. Being a good United States citizen, I like to make sure that all of our small dyers, as well as the large companies, get a little bit of my retirement check. Well, today, I don't know whether you've ever heard of her, but she is a minority dyer in Baltimore. Neighborhood Fiber Co. This is the Lakeland color, and it's rustic fingering. It's 100% merino wool, and it's 475 yards for 114 grams. Really a good bargain. I've used some of her stuff in a couple kits that I've bought over the years. She names her yarns after neighborhoods. She used to live in DC, now she lives in Baltimore, and I'm gonna support my hometown girl. Anyway, that's the color. Isn't it beautiful? Really is. She special dyes some things. She may be dyeing something to commemorate hopefully the new Supreme Court Justice. She dyed a Michelle Obama and a Kamala Harris yarn, which I have in my stash. Haven't used it yet. Waiting for that special project. But she commemorates minority women, women in general, and she's just a really good hearted person. Well, that's all I'm going to say about her. You go look at her delightful yarns, and you'll see how lovely they are. April's around the corner. Taxes, money out, yarn diet. That's what I'm all about. My plans for April are to finish my 2 sweaters that I've been working on for a while. I'd also like to make good progress on the Casa Pinka sweater because I'd like to stay in with the knit along. And also, I'd like to start a pair of socks, probably some shorties. I have plenty of yarn here to do all of those things, unfortunately. And yes, storage is a problem. There's a lot of cubby holes that you can put yarn in an RV. Maybe sometime I'll take you on a tour of those little cubby holes that I have. Anyway, I will leave you to thank you for stopping by. Please like this if you've liked this content and you'd like more. Subscribe, share it with your friends. I just really like to show off what I'm doing, hold myself accountable, and maybe you can ask me some questions about what it's like to be living in an RV. Put your questions down below and I'll answer them. Thank you to the person that told me that I needed to have longer magic loop cables for my sleeves. I did make the sleeve longer and it is working better. Thank you. Appreciate it. Watch for the next podcast and knit happy.